Okay, picture this. What if a ghost hunter, in the middle of a live stream from a supposedly haunted place, made a chilling discovery that the ghost he was hunting was himself? Today, we're going to dive into a story that starts with a skeptic's mission and ends with a revelation that's, well, pretty much impossible. It all kicks off with this single, absolutely terrifying comment that pops up during a live ghost hunt. Right there on the screen, posted from the hunter's own account, are these words: "Swastik is already dead." And that one comment is the key that unravels everything. And that right there is the central mystery we're going to unpack. How can a dead man be conducting a live paranormal investigation? To really understand the answer, we first have to understand who Swastik was before all of this. So before this one fateful night, Swastik wasn't just some random guy. He was a famous YouTuber, a professional skeptic on a mission to prove that the paranormal was nothing more than a myth. His channel, The Night Hunter, had made him a huge star. He had this persona as the ultimate rationalist, and his whole mission was to expose what he called delusions. He'd go to these notoriously haunted places, set up all his gear, and every single time, the investigation would end the same way. He'd look straight into the camera and say, with total confidence, "See? Ghosts are nowhere to be found." But this is where the profound, kind of tragic irony of his story really sinks in. The very thing he dedicated his entire career to disproving, ghosts, is exactly what he was about to become. He was out there hunting for proof of the paranormal, completely clueless that he himself was the phenomenon. For his final investigation, he chose a place with a truly heartbreaking past, an abandoned orphanage, one that was destroyed by a fire that claimed the lives of many children and their caretakers. And this was where he was going to host his big 3:33 a.m. challenge for his millions of viewers. All right, so let's get into the investigation itself. Let's see how all those signs of paranormal activity he was so eager to debunk started popping up. But, well, not in any way he could have possibly imagined. The activity just ramped up so quickly. At first, a single sensor beeps. He just brushes it off. Probably a rat, he says. But then 3 of them go off at the same time. The temperature takes a nosedive, and then furniture starts to move all on its own. He's documenting all of it for his audience, looking for some logical explanation, totally unaware that he was the one causing all the disturbances. And then we hit the climax. As the clock ticks over to 3:33 a.m., the supposed witching hour, Swastik's entire reality, his whole carefully built worldview, just completely begins to shatter. Remember that "you're dead" comment? Well, he first dismisses it as a hacker messing with him. But then a second message appears from his own account, replying to his denial. It says, "The account isn't hacked. You are really dead." It's a message from beyond the grave, telling him a truth that just seems impossible. That comment acts like a key, and it unlocks a memory he'd suppressed. Suddenly, it all comes flooding back, driving on a dark, empty road just hours before, a truck speeding right towards him. And then, that final crushing impact. He had died in that car crash at 2:35 a.m. He needs physical proof, and in that moment of sheer panic, he finds it. He looks down, and to his absolute horror, he realizes his feet aren't even touching the ground anymore. He looks at his hands, and he can see them fading, becoming transparent. There's no way to deny what's happening to him. And right then, in that moment, the ultimate irony hits him like a ton of bricks. Swastik, the great rationalist, the debunker of myths. He had become the literal definition of the one thing he swore didn't exist. He was a ghost. So what happens next? What does a man who spent his whole life hunting ghosts do when he finally has to accept that he's become one? This is where the story takes its final, really moving turn. That figure he saw on his camera, it was the spirit of the old caretaker, and she appears before him. But she's not some monster. She's there to be a guide. She explains that his own restless mind, his constant search for sensation over actual truth, is what drew his spirit to this place after he died. As these shadowy figures, born from his own fear, begin to close in, he's faced with a final choice: stay trapped here or just let go. And he chooses peace. He reaches out, he takes the caretaker's hand, and as his camera falls to the floor, his spirit just dissolves, finally free. And this brings us right back to the real world. The next morning, the police show up at the now empty orphanage. They find his camera, and incredibly, it's still live streaming an empty room, leaving behind this impossible piece of evidence. The official police report just created this mind-bending contradiction. It confirmed, yes, Swastik died in a car crash miles away. But get this, it happened nearly an hour before his live stream even began. The facts proved he was dead, but they couldn't explain the footage for the life of them. Ultimately, Swastik's story leaves us with this powerful question, doesn't it? He spent his entire life searching for one kind of truth, only to be slammed with a completely different, undeniable reality after he died. It's a haunting reminder that sometimes the greatest mysteries aren't the ones we go out hunting for, but the ones waiting inside of us all along.